Did you ever notice the moment in Season 3 of Downton Abbey where Lady Mary's perfect life almost cracks? It's not a loud scene. It doesn't scream for attention. But if you look closely, there's a hidden clue that reveals her secret struggle, and even hints at an affair that could have changed everything. Many fans missed it on the first watch, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. Season 3 of Downton Abbey is full of change and tension. The Crawley family faces challenges both inside and outside the grand house. The world around them is shifting after the war, and new expectations clash with old traditions. For Lady Mary, this is the season where her personal choices hold more weight than ever. She is engaged to Matthew Crawley, the man fans had been waiting for her to finally unite with. Their relationship has gone through heartbreak, misunderstandings, and long delays. By Season 3, they stand on the edge of what looks like a happy ending. But under the polished surface, not everything is perfect. Lady Mary is proud, careful, and always aware of her reputation. From the first season, her name has been tied to whispers of scandal. Her secret with the Turkish diplomat Kemal Pamuk still casts a shadow. Though that chapter is supposedly buried, Lady Mary knows how easily her image could be destroyed. In Season 3, the pressure grows heavier, because her future as Matthew's wife, and as the future mistress of Downton, depends on her ability to appear flawless. This is where the hidden detail enters the story. Julian Fellowes, the creator of the show, is known for weaving secrets into the smallest gestures and dialogues. A lingering glance, a pause in a sentence, or a subtle reaction often means more than the words spoken. In Lady Mary's case, one of these moments appears in the early part of the season. It's easy to miss if you're watching for the grand storylines about inheritances and marriages. But if you pay close attention, you'll see the flicker of guilt in her eyes, the kind that only comes from a secret she's desperate to hide. This moment doesn't just show Lady Mary as a beautiful aristocrat in love. It reveals her as a woman torn between her heart and her duties. She carries the weight of expectation from her family, her society, and her own sense of pride. That hidden detail, the one tied to her affair, is more than gossip. It's a glimpse into how fragile her perfect life really is, and how quickly it could all unravel. It happens in a quiet exchange, the kind that slips past most viewers because the camera doesn't linger for long. In Season 3, as Mary and Matthew prepare for their marriage, there's a small moment where Mary seems distracted, almost unsettled, when the topic of intimacy in her past comes close to the surface. It's not a full confession, not even a direct reference, but it's a telling pause, a silence that says more than words ever could. Mary's eyes shift, her tone softens, and for a split second, her confident mask falters. This is where Fellowes' writing shows its genius. Instead of spelling out her secret, he plants a seed for attentive viewers. Mary has always carried the burden of her past with Kemal Pamuk, the Turkish diplomat whose death in her bed during Season 1 nearly destroyed her. But what many don't notice is how Season 3 revisits that guilt in subtle ways. Mary's hesitation in certain conversations is a reminder that she hasn't truly escaped the shadow of her earlier choices. And for some fans, these hints point to the possibility of another secret, an affair that she keeps hidden even from those closest to her. The detail is easy to miss because of how naturally it blends into the scene. Downton Abbey is filled with dialogue-heavy moments where characters discuss estates, inheritances, and societal expectations. In the middle of all that, Mary's brief flicker of unease can seem like nothing at all. But if you pause, if you watch the shift in her expression, you see the truth. She's protecting herself, guarding something unspoken. That layer of tension is what makes this scene unforgettable once you catch it. What makes this hidden detail so unique is not just the suggestion of an affair, but how it reflects Mary's inner conflict. She's a woman who desperately wants love, stability, and a future with Matthew. Yet she's also a woman who has been cornered by fear and secrecy. This balancing act between honesty and silence, between duty and desire, shows us that Lady Mary is far from perfect, and that's why viewers connect with her so deeply. She is human, fragile, and flawed, even under all the grace and refinement expected of her. By slipping this subtle moment into Season 3, the show gives us a puzzle piece that doesn't fully lock into place until later. It's the kind of storytelling that rewards rewatching. On the first viewing, you may cheer for Mary and Matthew's love story. On the second, you may catch the unease behind her smile. And on the third, you realize that her past, and perhaps her secret affair, is always present, hidden in the spaces between her words. What makes this hidden detail so powerful is not only what it says about Mary herself, but how it silently shapes her relationships. With Matthew, every pause in her voice, every flicker of doubt becomes a weight neither of them names. To him, Mary is elegant, poised, and devoted. But the audience sees a different layer, one she shields even from her fiancé. This is where the affair rumor takes root, because the space between honesty and secrecy creates an invisible wall in their romance. They are deeply in love, yes, but trust in Downton Abbey is never simple. Think about how the Crawley family functions. Appearance is everything. Every whispered rumor has the power to ruin not just one individual, but the household as a whole. Mary knows this better than anyone. Her secret, whether it's the shadow of Pamuk or the suggestion of another affair, is not just her burden, it's the family's risk. That's why her subtle silence in season 3 is so chilling. She's not just guarding her own heart, she's protecting the entire Crawley name from collapse. Yet in doing so, she builds walls around herself, cutting even Matthew out from the truth. The ripple extends further still. Her sisters, Edith and Sybil, exist in the same world but handle their roles differently. Edith's scandals are public, written in newspapers and shouted about in drawing rooms. Sybil's romance with Branson is bold, reckless, and defiant. Mary, by contrast, cloaks hers in shadows. Her secrecy makes her appear strong, even cold. But the hidden detail in season 3 reveals the truth. Mary's composure is her armor. Beneath it, she is more fragile than she allows anyone to see. What makes this detail unique is how it quietly rewrites our view of Mary. To the family, she is dependable, ready to carry Downton's future on her shoulders. To Matthew, she is his long-awaited bride. But to us, watching closely, she is also a woman carrying a private storm. The flicker of unease is not just about a past mistake. It's about the constant fear of exposure. One wrong word, one slip of gossip, and the fragile balance she holds could shatter. That is why this hidden moment matters so much. It shows us that love in Downton Abbey is never just romance, it's negotiation, performance, and sacrifice. Mary's silence is not a weakness but a strategy, one that keeps the Crawley's world intact. Yet it's also the reason why viewers feel an ache watching her with Matthew, because love built on unspoken truths, no matter how grand, is always on the edge of breaking. The true brilliance of this hidden detail is not just in what it shows, but in how it reshapes the way we see Lady Mary's relationships. At first glance, Mary and Matthew seem like the perfect couple. Star-crossed lovers finally united after years of delays. But perfection in Downton Abbey always comes at a cost. When Mary hesitates, when her eyes drift for a moment too long, it's not just about her past. It's about the silence she carries into her future. That silence becomes a third presence in her marriage, a shadow at their side even as they prepare for a life together. With Matthew, this shadow lingers in the unspoken. He believes he knows Mary, that she has trusted him with all her secrets. But the truth is more complicated. The subtle pause, the look away, the faintest edge of guilt. These are cracks in the picture-perfect romance. They suggest that Mary is not only in love with Matthew, but also trapped by what she cannot admit. And in the world of Downton Abbey, where love is bound up with inheritance, legacy, and honor, a single unspoken truth can weigh heavier than any spoken lie. The family dynamic makes the silence even sharper. Unlike Sybil, who defies tradition openly, or Edith, who suffers her scandals under the gaze of others, Mary chooses control. She conceals. She shields. To her father, she is steady. To her grandmother, she is sharp and capable. To her mother, she is the one most likely to preserve the family's reputation. Yet beneath that surface, this hidden detail shows that Mary's control is not confidence, it's survival. Her silence is her shield, but it's also her prison. And this is where the ripple effect becomes fascinating. Because by hiding her truth, Mary isn't only protecting herself, she's protecting Downton Abbey itself. Every decision she makes, every calculated glance is about keeping the Crawley name untarnished. But the irony is clear. The very act of protecting her family creates a fragile foundation in her own marriage. The audience is left with a haunting question. Can a love survive if it's built on what is never said? This is why the affair detail, however subtle, carries so much weight. It's not simply a matter of scandal or intrigue. It's a window into Mary's world where silence is both armor and curse. It makes her one of the most complex characters in the series. Adored, admired, but forever holding her breath, hoping her secrets never rise to the surface. The beauty of this hidden detail is not only in the drama it adds to Mary's story, but in how it reflects the heart of Downton Abbey itself. At its core, the series is not just about lavish gowns, glittering dinners, or the elegance of an English estate. It's about the constant tug-of-war between duty and desire. Mary embodies this struggle more than any other character. The affair clue, quiet and almost invisible, reminds us that her life is built on choices that are never entirely free. Every glance, every pause is weighed against what society demands from her. The affair detail also underscores another timeless theme: truth versus tradition. In a world like Downton, where appearance is everything, truth often has no place at the dinner table. Secrets are folded neatly under polite conversation. Mary's silence, then, is not unusual, it is expected. Yet what makes it unique is how that silence eats at her, shaping the way she moves, the way she loves, and the way she shoulders responsibility. It shows us that tradition is not only a grand heritage, it's also a heavy chain. For viewers, this is what makes Mary's story unforgettable. We don't simply watch her as a glamorous figure. We feel her tension. She is torn between protecting the Crawley name and protecting her own heart. And that is where the hidden clue about her affair becomes more than a small detail. It becomes a symbol. It reminds us that even in the grandest of houses, even in the most admired of women, secrets thrive in silence. They are not spoken, yet they shape everything. When fans debate this moment, when they rewatch and search for proof, they are not just chasing a scandal. They are responding to the deeper truth of Mary's character. She is not flawless, not untouchable. She is layered with guilt, pride, desire, and fear. That complexity is what keeps her story alive long after the credits roll. The hidden detail doesn't just belong to one scene. It stretches across the whole season, whispering to us every time Mary looks away, every time she hesitates, every time she wears her armor of composure. And that is the genius of Downton Abbey. It teaches us that the loudest truths are often the ones never spoken. Lady Mary's hidden affair detail is not simply a plot twist. It is a lesson about the weight of secrecy, the cost of reputation, and the fragile line between love and duty. It's the kind of detail that makes you want to revisit Season 3, to look closer, to catch what you missed the first time. Because in Downton, the story is never just in the dialogue, it's in the silence. More than a decade after Downton Abbey first aired, fans are still revisiting Season 3, pausing scenes and debating the smallest gestures. And that's the true mark of a hidden detail that matters. It doesn't fade with time, it grows. Lady Mary's subtle hint of an affair, her carefully guarded silence, is not just a footnote in her love story. It's the kind of moment that rewires how we see her character entirely. What once looked like confidence now feels like calculation. What once seemed like elegance now reads as defense. The detail forces us to look again, and that is what makes it unforgettable. It also keeps Mary human. For all the grandeur of Downton Abbey, the characters we remember most are not the flawless ones, but the flawed ones. Mary, in that instant of hesitation, becomes less of a figurehead and more of a real woman. Someone balancing passion against pressure, longing against loyalty. Her secret doesn't weaken her story. It deepens it. It makes her victories feel more earned and her tragedies more haunting. And perhaps that's why this hidden clue resonates with audiences today. In a modern world where appearances still matter and silence can feel safer than truth, Mary's struggle feels familiar. She's a reflection of anyone who has ever carried a secret for the sake of family, reputation, or survival. That universality is why people continue to search for layers in her story, to ask, was it really just guilt or was there more? Was the silence about the past or was it about something happening right then in Season 3? By planting this quiet clue, Julian Fellowes gave fans more than a drama about lords and ladies. He gave them a puzzle that never truly closes, a mystery that lingers even after countless rewatches. It's why new generations discover Downton and still ask the same questions. The beauty lies not in the answer but in the doubt, the possibility that Mary's poised exterior hid more than anyone dared to admit. That is why this detail is worth rewatching, worth analyzing, and worth remembering. Because in a show where secrets shape destinies, Lady Mary's silence is the loudest secret of all. It's not just history, it's a haunting reminder that behind every perfect smile lies a story we may never fully know. When we talk about the legacy of Downton Abbey, most people remember the glamour of the estate, the sweeping romances, and the dramatic plot twists that kept audiences hooked week after week. But the real legacy lies in the subtler threads, the hidden gestures, the silences, the unspoken truths. Lady Mary's concealed detail in Season 3 is one of those threads. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand recognition, yet it lingers in the memory long after the big storylines fade. What makes it stand out is how it changes the way we look back on Mary's entire journey. If you rewatch from Season 1 onward, this secret moment in Season 3 casts a new light on everything that came before and after. Her pride, her caution, her occasional coldness, all of it feels tied to the weight of the unspoken. The detail becomes a key to her character, unlocking layers that weren't obvious before. Instead of a flawless heroine, we see a woman caught in the constant push between what she owes to herself and what she owes to Downton. This hidden thread also becomes part of the show's larger commentary on secrecy. Every character has one. Carson hides his vulnerabilities, Bates conceals his struggles, Edith keeps her heartbreaks close, and Mary holds onto her shadows. But unlike the others, Mary's secret is bound to the survival of the estate itself. If her truth were ever fully revealed, the ripples would spread far beyond her own life. That's what gives her silence such gravity. It isn't only personal, it's generational. For fans, this is why the moment matters even now. It's not just about scandal. It's about legacy. It's about the price characters pay to keep their world intact. And it's about how one small flicker of unease can carry more meaning than an entire monologue. Fellows knew that the most powerful drama isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a glance, a hesitation, a silence that refuses to explain itself. That's the genius of Downton Abbey, the grand story of an aristocratic family told through the quiet weight of secrets. And so, Lady Mary's hidden detail doesn't just belong to Season 3. It belongs to the DNA of the entire series. It's a reminder that even in the most refined of halls, with chandeliers glowing and violins playing, there is always something left unsaid. And it's that silence, that secret, that keeps Downton Abbey alive in the minds of its fans. And here we arrive at the heart of it all. Lady Mary's hidden detail in Season 3 is more than just a clever piece of writing. It's a window into the soul of Downton Abbey. The show has always been about more than gowns, estates, or scandals. It is about the silences that shape lives, the secrets that guide choices, and the unspoken truths that can bind or break relationships. Mary's subtle flicker of unease is not just a clue. It's a symbol of what Downton does best, showing us that beneath every polished surface, there is a storm waiting quietly. What makes this final reflection so powerful is how it leaves us unsettled. Did Mary's silence mean she was hiding more than we thought? Was the affair detail a secret carefully tucked between lines of dialogue, never to be spoken aloud? Or was it Julian Fellowes' way of reminding us that human beings are always more complicated than the roles they play? The answer doesn't need to be clear. In fact, the mystery is the point. Because in Downton Abbey, ambiguity isn't a weakness. It's what keeps the story alive long after the screen goes dark. As viewers, we are left with a choice. We can take the show at face value, seeing Mary as the loyal bride-to-be weighed down only by her past. Or we can dig deeper, searching the silences for meaning, reading her pauses and glances as the true script of her life. Either way, the experience is richer, because the story invites us to participate, to notice, to question, and to wonder. And that is why Lady Mary's hidden detail still resonates. It asks us to look closer, to question what we thought we knew, and to find drama not just in the grand declarations but in the whispers of doubt. In the end, it's not the wedding vows or the family dinners that haunt us. It's the moment when Mary looks away, when she pauses just a little too long, when silence says everything words cannot. So as you think back on Season 3, ask yourself this: what do you believe Lady Mary was really hiding? Was it guilt, fear, or something more? That question is what makes this detail timeless. Because in Downton Abbey, the grandest secrets are not the ones shouted in scandal. They're the ones left unsaid.